Hello everyone. Today's video we are going to talk about if-else-if statements, or also known as conditional statements within Python programming language. We could use if-else-if or even nested if-else-if. They are very much deep-rooted into every programming language, and Python is no different. So let's see how we can get this done within the Python programming language by using certain kind of an example scenarios and see this in action. So stay tuned and follow the video. So let's see, friends, how we can use the if-else-if statements or conditional expressions within Python language. Let's say I declare a variable a, b is equal to 20. Now the first one is a very basic if condition. Let's say you want to run it, so I could just use if a, let's say, is equal to 10. We just want to, let's say now if we are gonna have a true condition or a false condition, Python works a little bit different as compared to JavaScript or C#. In C# or JavaScript, you could use certain kind of bracelets to define the scope of the if condition. But over here, you actually put up a full colon. And then once you put up a full colon, this particular space over here, that definitely specifies something that comes within the scope of the if statement. So there is no bracket or anything, so that's very much important. And fundamentally we should understand that this particular space, which is on the left hand side, is definitely gonna impact and prove that this statement, what we are writing over here, that goes into the if condition. So let's say I use a is equal to 10. And let's say if I want to specify the else part, so similarly it's having the same space which is on the left hand side, and I specify a maybe, let's say, greater or less than 10. So that's what it is. And we are not gonna say any kind of an end or to the if else statement. It just represents that. So that's the basic, what you call as the conditions, what we specify with the help of a blocking, like a full colon out there. Now if I try to run this, let's say if I run this and it runs it just simply says a is equal to 10, and of course switches. Now if I want to use further, let's say if else if condition, so I could probably use it in this way. Now what I have to do is, so I say if a is equal to 10, so let's say do this, so print a is equal to 10, and I could use else, which is like elif, and then I could say, if I say a greater than 10, so what I want to do is I want to say a is greater than 10, and then if I could just use a last else condition, means if the first condition doesn't work, then check for a second condition, and if that is not true, then you use an else for a else if. So I simply say a, let's say a is less than 10, so I could utilize that. Now let's say if I just close these statements around here and I just want to run this, I'll run it out. So it just simply says a is equal to 10. Now let's change that. I'll say a is 20 and I run this. So a is greater than 10, right? And if I just simply say a is 5 and run it again, so it would just simply say a is less than 10. So that's how it kind of works through. Now I could also use a nested condition based upon if statements. So how does the nested condition works? Nested if conditions. Now for this, if I'm going to use, let's say if a is equal to, let's say 10, and I'm just going to make, let's say a is 10, and then I simply say I want to use another condition, or let's say I print out something, a is equal to 10, and then further I'm going to check a nested condition. So I say if a, let's say, greater than b, right? So then what I want to do is I want to print further a is greater than b, right? So that's one statement. And what I can do is I can also use an else over here where I can say print a is, let's say, less than, for example, b, okay, something like this. And because this is a nested if and this else belongs to this if, So this has a representation belonging over here, and if you see for this if condition, everything is coming onto this particular spacing out here, which means all these statements, they belong to that particular a condition. Now fundamentally, if I want to close the first if also, I could use an else, and then I could just simply say print a is not, let's say, either less than or greater than 10, something like that. Now let's stop this and see how does this works. So this is entirely a use of a nested if conditions. Okay, now if I want to use this, let's try running this. If I run this around, it says a is equal to 10. So why so? Because a is equal to 10. So it goes on to here, 10 is equal to 10. And then it says a is less than b. So why? Because then it checks for this condition, which is false. And then because we didn't use a else if, we just said, okay, if this condition is false, go to the else, and a is less than b, where it prints it around. And then the else part, which is never going to be printed because a is always equal to 10, we did that. And if I change it, let's say I change it to 20. Now if I run this, so what it says, a is less or greater than 10. So because this doesn't satisfy, so it doesn't go into this condition, so it just goes on to else and then gets this printed. So this is how the nested or the simple if else if conditions could work in Python. These are basic building blocks of every programming language, and Python is no different, as I mentioned. So I hope guys this is going to help you to in understanding how we are going to evaluate the if else if or conditional expressions within Python. I'll be coming back with more videos on Python, continuing the series, and so please stay tuned and have a good one.